Hey, what's going on, fellas? Here I am, back at the field, this time with my pump. It's been a while since I used that one, so I was really itching to get back into it and try and use the pump again. Well, actually, to be honest, guys, I did bring the pump a few times in the previous outings this season, but I ended up not using it only because still, or I was, and I still am intimidated when I'm playing with a whole bunch of electrodes. I think this is what the second or third time playing with this pump, so I'm still trying to get the feel of it. But I kind of use that as an excuse not to bring it out those particular days. But this time around, you know what? I just said to myself, you know what? I'm not going to be able to use it or learn more on snap shooting or movement if I actually don't even use it at the field. So this day actually had a pretty decent amount of people. I got to the field at a decent time. I wasn't late like last time, and there was already a good sized group that day. And I busted out the pump and just went out there and just had some fun. So the first game we actually started out on containers, and here I am deciding to stay in the container and try to one ball and try to get this opponent out. He was on the other side, on the outside of the container, and I was just trying to aim and try and get him out. And after a little bit, I was actually finally able to get him. But I was also eager to use the new barrel or the new barrel back I had. Before I ordered this 678, I had a 684, but the field paint was still rolling out of that 684, and that was the smallest bore I had, which also kind of prevented me from using the pump more effectively. So this is actually the first time I'm using a 678, and it actually worked really well. I had no rollouts, and it was pretty consistent. Throughout the video, you'll hear a lot of farting. I don't know if I have to time it or tune it a little bit more, but I think it was just a matter of not holding the pump handle forward, or I would just fire a little bit too much, too early, or just a matter of placement. So here I am. I advance to the left side, and I try and get the advancing opponents. This time they were actually playing reserved, so I didn't really see too many people midfield. They were basically hanging out on the inside of the container as well as just to the sides of the container. Nobody really moved up midfield, but I was trying to play cautiously, try and hear where they were and see if I can shoot them out whenever I can. So right about here, I see another guy head out of the container on my left side, and he was basically keeping me behind my bunker. And I had been frequently looking to the right to see if anybody was moving up. So I was trying to protect myself from getting caught on the side. I was hoping that some of my teammates would move up on the right side, but they were staying back a little bit as well. So I wanted to make sure I was safe before I moved ahead from this bunker. But it was slowly coming back to me. I still like playing with pump, the challenge, and having to think a little bit more before moving, picking your shots, trying to aim before shooting. It's definitely fun. Now, if I remember correctly, I hear some of my teammates calling out, right window, middle window, left window. So that was giving me some information on where to watch out or where to shoot to see if I can catch anybody. And there was that one guy that left the container on the right side, and I wanted to be able to see where he moved. And eventually he was shot out, and that kind of gave me the freedom to move up. And here I am just reloading. Now the Pico actually only holds about 80, and I have 100. That was a splatter. Well, caught the bunker right there. But I am using 100 count pods, and even if it's empty and I try to refill, I have about 10 or 20 remaining in the pod. So the Pico is actually less than 100 uh, paintball capacity. Um, Here I get caught with a splatter and just showing the ref that I have splatter, just to avoid confusion and somebody saying that I was actually shot. And here I am getting splatter through these bunkers. That's one thing I don't really like about these bunkers. I mean, you could definitely use it to your advantage. You could try and shoot through opponents or shoot at opponents through those, but you definitely get a lot of splatter. Fortunately, not one of them came through the hole, but most of them busted through, and I was getting splatter all over my mask, all over my shirt. And here I am trying to see if I can get a good shot on him. And was basically trying the same thing, trying to get it through the gaps in
Somebody move up right.
those barrels.
Is there only one? Not with a pump.
And right about here, I still don't know how many are left. I don't know how many are in the container, and just refilling the hopper again with the 10 or 15 remaining paintballs in my pod just in case. But I try to make a rush towards the middle. My intention is to go to the cargo, but as you can see right there, somebody sees me and calls his teammates to help. So I retreat to the nearest bunker, which is right before this cargo, and I'm basically just preparing myself to get bunkered, to get lit up. I'm trying to guess which way they would be coming from, and since I have teammates on the right, I decide to focus on the left, and I was still fearful that I was going to get shot on my back by somebody on the right hand side. But fortunately, they did decide to go on the left. I was just aiming right there at the window just in case they did come out, and somebody did go outside, and I was able to get him. And there was actually another guy in the window. I pop him in the mask, and I didn't know that it hit, so I went back behind the bunker. I looked back out and shot again, and actually, I don't know if you could call it a bonus ball, but shot him again in the mask. I apologized to the guy. I just told him that I shot, went behind the bunker. I didn't even wait to see if it hit. Peeked back out, shot again, and unfortunately the second ball caught him again. But he was pretty cool about it. I just went to apologize. But with the pump, I find myself shooting, not really waiting to see if it hits, before I go behind the bunker. And here we are with the last guy on the opposite team. And I'm just trying to get him from far off while I'm telling my guys to advance on the right, keep him busy, or, because we basically have him pinched. So here I try to use the white barrel as cover before I can move up. And he does a really good move, moving to another bunker, and to counter that, I try to go to another bunker, and the game was called. I don't know if I shot him or somebody else shot him as we were in back, but that was a very good first game. So here is the second game in containers. Just making sure that the Pico is turned on. That's one thing that I wasn't too fond of, was the lack of actually there is a hole for the LED light, but it was pretty hard to tell whether the Pico was on and off, and I just had to make sure that it was on so I didn't find myself having to spin the rip drive or try to mess around with the Pico mid-game. So like just the other game, I decided to run up to midfield and see if I could get a good angle. Fortunately, I was able to catch somebody that moved up as well on the opposite team.
There's one right
and
behind.
I'm just telling my teammate who's behind me there's somebody to the right, and he could cover me while I try to get some of the opponents on the opposite side who didn't think that I was still there. And I was getting into couple of battles with some people towards the left, and taking some fire as well. My main concern here was the guy on my right, my opponent on the right, who I did see earlier. I'm thinking that he is not aware of where I am at this point, but I definitely did not want him to advance and catch me by surprise. There was actually another guy behind those white barrels, so I'm trying to take him out, but unfortunately he did a really good job hiding behind those barrels, and I was unable to catch him. So I had to divide my attention between this guy and the other guys on the left, or to my left. I didn't want them to advance and catch me on the side as well. But fortunately, I had a teammate behind me who was yelling out positions and trying to hit them as well. So I didn't feel out of place or all by myself behind these white barrels.
Hopper! Hopper! Matt, Hopper hits count? No, the one who's calling paint check. Blue barrels, straight ahead. Right in the hopper. I got you in the hopper. Hopper!
Sorry for my frustration, but I was just getting
Matt, he's gone, he's gone.
Especially after working so hard to try and, get somebody, only for them not to realize that they were hit on the hopper, or they just didn't hear me, or
I only got like
they thought that gun hits
12 shots left.
didn't count. So I just wanted to make sure
that's right. You keep it.
Either the ref came over there and let them know that he was actually hit in the hopper and was out, or just basically to confirm that, whether he was in or out. Yeah, sorry about that. And right about there, as you saw me look into my hopper, I am down to, I guess, my remaining 10 paintballs. I only carried one pod with me, which I refilled in the previous game, so this is all I had. My teammate did offer to throw me a pod, but I just felt that, you know what, I'll just let this be. Either I get shot out or I use up all my paint and just see what happens. That's another thing that I basically had to get used to. Oh, and here, actually, I did get hit.
Wrong team.
Not by my opponent, though, but by a teammate who was on the left side.
Same team. Yo,
as I
walk
was
it
walking
out.
out the field, I get pegged 3 or 4 times to the back of my head, but this time by my opponents. I have to say I was disappointed, but I try not to get mad. People make mistakes. I've certainly shot some of my teammates, here and there. But it can definitely be
we're gonna get started.
to be shot out by a teammate, especially when you're that far up at the field and you feel that you have a good position. But, I was running out of paintballs, so it was all good. So right about there, I decided to take a shortcut to get to this far right bunker by jumping over the creek. And fortunately, it wasn't too muddy that my boots didn't get stuck in the mud, or that I just fell in the water. I wanted to prevent the opponents to my right to get to where we were through the bushes. So
that's not a hot chrome.
Here we are basically just trying to long ball people who are up on top of
I'm gonna move up to the next bunker.
the hill, inside the forts.
Yep.
Through the windows. But with this field, you definitely are at a disadvantage because you are lower.
I'm moving up. I'm moving up.
But you know, whether you're up on top or on the bottom, paintball is paintball. It's all about fun. Just trying to get the other guy out.
Just checking.
So after a little bit of staying behind this bunker, I decided to take the plunge and
All right.
take my chances through the narrow path to the
All
right,
right, let me know.
and hopefully catch the guys by surprise. So right about here, I feel a hit to my mask,
Paint check.
and I couldn't feel any of the paint, so I called for a paint check. I got a lucky bounce on my mask, which is highly unlikely on an I-4, but hey, you know, I'm not complaining. So I'm just trying to hold off the guys who are in the fort, try to squeeze a paintball here and there through windows and gaps before I decide to go to the path. So as I'm taking the path, I come up to the fork, and before I choose whether to go left or to the right, I hear some shots ahead of me. I'm not sure if they're firing at me or they're firing at my teammate, who is basically giving me some cover from getting shot on the top of my head. So I try to peek out without giving myself away. I do hear some shots. I just couldn't really tell where they were coming from, and I was afraid that somebody or an opponent would surprise me on the right because they wanted to go and take the path as well. So after a little bit of time, I decide to go up and see what's going on. And I'm not really hearing too many shots now. So I try and see if I can catch anybody off guard. But I decide to walk a little bit farther and see if I can go to the other end. Only to find out as I come up through the bushes that I see yellow tape. So I didn't see it on the bottom, and I'm assuming that this part right here where I came up from is off limits. So I retreat back down the hill and take the the first path I come up to. You know, I see the yellow tip over here on my left indicating the boundary, but I didn't see one going up the hill until I actually got up the hill. So I shoot this guy as I'm heading back in that little bunker right there. So I decide to take the closer path, and this of course is open, giving me a nice position to surprise some guys, and actually shoot this guy. He walks out. I don't know if he called himself out, but we'll get to that later. I wait there for another guy to show himself. And my teammate is behind me now. I shoot this guy in the red right there, and in a few moments I'll come back out. I shoot him again. He just walks out, doesn't say that he's out, and walks out. But later on in the video, I'm not sure if he's the one who comes out of the fort to eventually get me. But you know, I was just a little confused whether there was some cheating or some wiping going on. But I had been hearing from a few other players that, you know, there were some guys cheating in this group, which is very unfortunate. So at this time, people start to know where I am, and I'm trying to shoot 2 guys, maybe 3 guys who are by the fort, and I'm trying to pop up through the window to the left to see if I can get somebody. There's somebody through the window right there, and here we are. I see, you know, somebody gets out, and shortly you will see a guy in red. I don't know if it's another guy in red or if it's the same guy, but he was just firing as he was walking out of the fort. So I tried my best to one-ball him, but he eventually got me on the arm. And like I said before, it was a guy in the red, and I wanted to walk up to him and see if, you know, the paintballs bounced off his chest, but I decided to just walk out and, you know, and
you could go that way, but there's some.
I guess.
Never mind. I think we're good.
As always, thank you for watching. I will have more videos coming up very soon. I hope you enjoyed this rather long one with the pump, but, you know, let me know what your thoughts are. Thanks again.